During the Assyrian siege of Jerusalem, a remarkable event would be remembered with quake and horror. An instance of divine providence in the camp of the Assyrian army, with a staggering 185,000 soldiers smitten in a single night. No war in history would have such a record at a single strike. Imagine the chaos, the once mighty army reduced to lifeless bodies strewn across the camp. It was a jaw-dropping moment of divine intervention, defying all earthly logic. Whether it was a plague, a supernatural force, or an unseen hand, the impact was explosive, and Jerusalem was spared. But what really happened that night, and how can it be if it benefits us? Stick around till the end to find out. The rise of the Assyrian Empire. In the heart of the ancient Near East, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowed, the Assyrian Empire emerged as a force to be reckoned with. Its origins trace back to the 9th century BCE, when a series of ambitious rulers set their sights on conquest and dominion. In those days, King Ashurnasirpal II, a name etched into the annals of history, ascended the throne around 883 BCE. His vision extended beyond the city walls of Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian heartland. Ashurnasirpal II sought to expand his dominion, leaving an indelible mark on the world. Ashurnasirpal II was no ordinary king. His reign was marked by grandeur, innovation, and unyielding ambition. He established the city of Kalhu, also known as Kala, situated along the Tigris River. Kalhu would become the epicenter of Assyrian power, a testament to the king's vision. Within Kalhu's fortified walls, Ashurnasirpal II erected a magnificent palace adorned with intricate reliefs. These reliefs depicted scenes of conquest, royal hunts, and divine blessings. The king's inscriptions proudly proclaimed his achievements, listing the lands he had subdued, the tribute exacted, and the gods he revered. Conquests and territories. The Neo-Assyrian Empire stretched vast territories from Mesopotamia to Syria, Egypt, Anatolia, to the Levant and Iran. Mesopotamia was the cradle of civilization, where Ashurnasirpal II solidified his rule. Syria was a land of ancient cities, fertile plains, and strategic importance. Anatolia was the gateway to the west, where Assyrian influence reached. In the land of Egypt, even the mighty pharaohs paid homage to Ashurnasirpal II, who single-handedly conquered Iran and the rugged highlands, and from Tyre to Damascus, the Levant bowed before the king. The Assyrians were not mere historical figures. They intersected with the biblical narrative. Their presence loomed large during the reigns of the kings of Israel and Judah. For instance, the black obelisk of Shalmaneser III, an ancient artifact discovered in Nimrud, portrays King Jehu of Israel bowing before Shalmaneser III. The inscription reads, "The tribute of Jehu, son of Omri." This means King Jehu paid homage to the Assyrian king, acknowledging their dominance. Tiglath-Pileser III, another powerful Assyrian ruler, once invaded Israel, causing the northern kingdom of Israel to fall, its people exiled, and its cities razed. These events are recounted in Assyrian inscriptions, corroborating its biblical account. After Ashurnasirpal II and Shalmaneser III, another fierce king, King Sennacherib, rose in Assyria. According to some traditions, he was Ashurnasirpal II's grandson, though this cannot be affirmed. King Sennacherib is the one who laid siege to Jerusalem during King Hezekiah's reign, as described vividly in the biblical book of 2 Kings, chapters 18 to 19. Perhaps at this point, a little backstory on King Sennacherib would help you understand this terrific character better. King Sennacherib, a name echoing through the corridors of ancient history, was the king of the Neo-Assyrian Empire from the death of his father, Sargon II, in 705 BCE, until his demise in 681 BCE. His reign, marked by military campaigns, architectural marvels, and biblical encounters, left an indelible imprint on the annals of time. Sennacherib hailed from the Sargonid dynasty, founded by his father, Sargon II. As the second king of this lineage, he inherited a vast empire stretching from Mesopotamia to Egypt. Sennacherib's military campaigns were relentless. He waged war against Elam, southwestern Iran, which had stirred up trouble among Chaldean and Aramean tribes in Babylonia. In 689 BCE, he dealt a severe blow to Babylon, sacking the city as retribution for his son's death. Sennacherib transformed Nineveh into the grand capital of his empire. He embarked on ambitious building projects, constructing a new palace, extending the city, and erecting inner and outer walls that still stand today. Sennacherib's role in the Hebrew Bible is significant. The books of 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles, and Isaiah recount his campaigns in the Levant. During the Levantine War of 701 BCE, he invaded Judah, where King Hezekiah resisted. The biblical narrative speaks of divine intervention, an angel decimating the Assyrian army. We will come to this shortly, and you will see how the mighty hand of God can step into man's affairs, even an affair as brutal as a cross-territorial war. And so, in the annals of ancient history, a pivotal moment unfolded, a clash of empires, faith, and divine intervention. Sennacherib, the formidable king of Assyria, cast his gaze upon Jerusalem, the heart of the kingdom of Judah. His reasons were manifold: territorial ambition, strategic dominance, and a desire to quell any rebellion. The Siege of Jerusalem. It was in the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, around 702 BCE, that Sennacherib's forces descended upon Judah. But before now, Sennacherib had subdued Jerusalem's closest neighbors in what would later be known as the Challenge of Lachish. Just before besieging Jerusalem, Sennacherib's forces attacked Lachish, a fortress town about 30 miles southwest of Jerusalem. Lachish was no easy target. It was built on a large mound, protected on 3 sides by natural wadis, dry riverbeds. The city had 2 sturdy walls constructed of mud bricks on a stone surface. The upper wall was the primary defense, approximately 18 feet thick, with tall towers at intervals. The city gate system was massive and well fortified. But by Assyrian insurrection, the city of Lachish fell swiftly, its walls breached, and its people subdued. Now Jerusalem, standing in the crosshairs of Assyrian aggression, would be next. The city's walls stood as the last bastion of resistance against the relentless Assyrian war machine. In the darkest hours of King Hezekiah's reign, the mighty Assyrian forces, led by Sennacherib, encircled Jerusalem. The city's walls trembled, and its defenders braced for the onslaught. Sennacherib's emissaries arrived at Jerusalem's gates, taunting the defenders. With arrogance in his voice, the field commander mocked the living God. He questioned Hezekiah's reliance on Egypt and ridiculed the Lord's protection. The Assyrians had raised other nations, casting their gods into the fire like mere wood and stone idols. But why Jerusalem? Jerusalem was strategically vital. Its capture would secure Assyria's dominance over the Levant. King Hezekiah of Judah had been a ringleader of the insurrection, refusing to pay tribute to Sennacherib. And now, Hezekiah, ruler of Judah, faced an impossible choice: surrender or fight. Hezekiah fortified Jerusalem's defenses, reinforcing the walls and preparing for the inevitable assault. He dug the famous Siloam tunnel to ensure a water supply during the siege. But the Assyrian army surrounded the city, cutting off supplies and isolating its inhabitants. But he knew this was not going to serve the Israelites, not save him. The Assyrians were siege experts. They assembled wooden ramps to allow siege engines to approach the walls. Leather-covered siege engines protected operators and defending archers. These engines had iron-tipped spears functioning as battering rams. The Judean defenders tried to fight back with arrows and stones. King Hezekiah, trapped within Jerusalem's walls, faced a dire situation. The Assyrian commander, the Rabshakeh, taunted the defenders, questioning their trust in God and urging them to surrender. Hezekiah, a righteous king, faced an existential crisis. He had received the letter from Sennacherib's messengers detailing the impending doom. As the siege intensified, Hezekiah turned to God. He spread the Assyrian letter before the Lord in the temple. Instead of despair, Hezekiah turned to the temple of the Lord. The passage reads, "And it came to pass when King Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes, and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of the Lord." 2 Kings 19 verse 1. His prayer echoed through the hallowed halls. "Lord of hosts, God of Israel, enthroned above the cherubim, you alone are God over all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth." Hezekiah pleaded for God's attention, asking him to see the mockery sent by Sennacherib. He acknowledged Assyria's conquests, but affirmed that their gods were human creations. With unwavering faith, Hezekiah implored, "Deliver us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone, Lord, are God." What does this mean to us? It means we should trust in God. Even in dire circumstances, Hezekiah's unwavering trust in God teaches us to rely on divine providence. Hezekiah humbled himself, acknowledging God's sovereignty. Pride often blinds us. Humility opens the door to grace. Hezekiah's reliance on God teaches us that prayer changes things. Hezekiah's prayer altered the course of history. Our prayers matter. They connect us to the Almighty. Afterward, God would send the prophet Isaiah to Hezekiah as proof to answer prayers. The prophet Isaiah conveyed God's response as the Lord assured Hezekiah that Assyria's arrogance would be their downfall. The virgin daughter Zion, Jerusalem, would mock Sennacherib as he fled. God knew every detail of Assyria's boasts, their wells, and their conquests, and the Holy One of Israel would protect his people. Isaiah prophesied that Assyria would not prevail. Hezekiah's faith and prayer had moved the heavens. God promised a sign. Jerusalem would survive, and Assyria would retreat because divine providence was at work. In the book of 2 Kings 19, we find the account of this divine intervention. Hezekiah's faith and prayer moved God's hand. The Lord fought for his people. The angel's sword spared Jerusalem, proving God's power transcends human might. That night, as the moon hung low over the besieged city, an angel of the Lord emerged from the shadows. As the army of Assyria was camping, with a single stroke, the angel struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in their camp. The once boisterous army lay lifeless, their arrogance shattered, and their conquest halted. What does this mean for us? What lessons can we learn from the angel's intervention? It is a lesson of divine power beyond human might. The angel's swift and decisive action reminds us that God's power transcends human strength. We can trust the same God who dispatched that angel when we face overwhelming odds, whether personal struggles, challenges, or battles. We also learn that faith and prayer matter. Hezekiah's unwavering faith and desperate prayer moved the heavens. This means our prayers reach the throne of grace even on the darkest nights. God always hears and responds. Lastly, this divine intervention cautions us about the futility of human arrogance. Sennacherib's defeat serves as a cautionary tale. His pride crumbled before divine intervention. Our arrogance, whether in our achievements, intellect, or self-sufficiency, can close our eyes to God's sovereignty. The fate of Sennacherib. After this episode, the book of 2 Kings 19 reveals that Sennacherib, humbled and defeated, returned to Assyria. The biblical story adds a miraculous ending. Sennacherib marched on Jerusalem once more, only to have his army struck down near the gates by an angel. He retreated to Nineveh, his pride shattered. Sennacherib's campaign ended up a shamble. His defeat in Jerusalem, coupled with a possible setback against the Egyptians, left his empire vulnerable. Sennacherib eventually met his end in 681 BCE in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital. According to historical records, his sons, Adramelech and Sharezer, assassinated him in Nineveh. This occurred while Sennacherib was worshipping in the temple of his god Nisroch. The sons struck him down with their swords and then fled to the land of Ararat, and one of Sennacherib's sons, Esarhaddon, eventually succeeded him as king. Sennacherib's legacy was one of hubris, downfall, and divine retribution. Beloved, I hope this video has blessed you. And what does the downfall of King Sennacherib teach you? I'd like to read your thoughts in the comments section. Do well to like, subscribe, and share this video to bless others. See you next time.